Hey everybody, today we are going to talk about my experience with fitness and sleep trackers. Good morning, this is episode number 118 of the All Around Growth Podcast. This show gives you insight and tools to build the life and homestead of your dreams. My name is Rob Kaiser, and I am your host. And tight squeeze here in the driveway this morning. Dad parked a little closer to me than normal, so I can't quite turn the corner like I normally do. Anyways, today's Tuesday, March 16th, 2021, and we're going to talk about fitness and sleep trackers. And I'm sorry I missed you guys yesterday. I had a seizure and I decided not to record. I just took time to rest. And during this episode, you may notice that I'm talking a little funny. I bit my tongue. It's not too bad, but at times it will be noticeable. So, no matter. Let's keep the show moving. So, quality sleep is important to me. It has a real impact on my life, and sometimes it may even factor into, well, not sometimes, but if I consistently don't get quality sleep, that will lower my seizure threshold. And just due to the fact that I had another seizure, well, that's got me thinking about, paying closer attention to my sleep. I like to think that because I maintain a relatively consistent bedtime and wake time, that I am getting the sleep that I need, but the reality is, and I used to use various fitness and sleep trackers, and I'll share my experiences with those once we hit the road, but I haven't been using anything for several years now, and I've had more seizures lately than normal, so I guess needless to say, I'm a little curious about what the data might show. And who knows? Looks like we got another stimmy check coming from our friends over at the government, and I may put some of that money towards one of the things that we're going to talk about today. So, in years past, the very first long extended experience I had with a fitness and sleep tracker, and again, I was buying it as much for sleep at that time as I was fitness. I used a Fitbit One, and I liked that because it wasn't necessarily a watch, right? You could wear it as a pendant. It had a little clip that you could clip to your shorts, and I liked the fact that I could count my steps and use the Fitbit platform without actually having a watch on. But it came with a nice wide Velcro strap or neoprene strap with a Velcro fitting that I could wrap around my wrist for the sleep metrics, which was super nice. Eventually, I think I ran that thing through the washing machine one too many times and I killed it. Although it was very durable and it withstood at a minimum 2 cycles through the washing machine. At some point or another, I eventually acquired an Apple Watch. All right. And I wasn't entirely sold on the Apple Watch, so I found one. I think I bought one refurbished or what have you, maybe even used, and I wore it for a few months, and it was too much. I felt too connected. I felt that having a cell phone was enough as it is, and that having this type of device on my watch, on my wrist rather, was a feeling of too much connectivity, and I sold it. Luckily, I got almost as much money out of it as I put into it, so I think I wore it for a few months. I don't know. And come to think of it, I believe I've worn a couple other styles of Fitbit too, specifically the thin ones, but I really only remember the one and that longer term experience with it. So the Apple Watch was great, the technology was cool, but it wasn't for me. And third of all, and this dates back just a couple of years, few years I guess, I don't remember when, but I was interested in and have been interested in these things for quite some time, and I guess word got around that I was looking for one, or maybe I posted something on Facebook about an inquiry if somebody had an older Fitbit that they were willing to sell or something like that. And that was most likely the case, since I was kind of in Dave Ramsey mode, and I'm always looking for a deal. My coworker Lori, I guess they had recently upgraded their fitness watches, and they had an old, when I say they, I mean her and her husband. I'm not sure whose, I believe this maybe was her husband's, but she gave me the old Fitbit Blaze, and I went at least a season wearing that thing, and that was nice. It had a big display like a smartwatch, but it didn't have all of the connectivity like a smartwatch, especially since it was one of the older model Fitbit Blaze watches as well. And it was very easy to simply turn it off and not have it connected to your phones. Yes, there was that option, but since the setup was more than I wanted to deal with, and it didn't default come connected to everything and look like everything, and the incentive wasn't there like it kind of seems to be with the Apple Watch and the cool factor. So I used that for a while, and she gave it to me because it was kind of old in the first place and they had upgraded, and after giving it some hard use for a year, 2 years, it died. It'll still hold a charge. It'll still charge and it'll still turn on, but it won't really hold a charge for any more than a few hours. So I am finding myself looking at watches again, sleep trackers again, and I had been cognizant and looking at them all this time, but because I was actively trying to pay off debt, I wasn't really in the right mindset to buy anything, and it's not a mindset of buying anything. I was trying to get out of debt. The last thing I needed to do was drop, $350 or whatever on a sweet new device. So I didn't, because, it's good to take care of yourself, but if you're carrying around a bunch of debt, the last thing you need to be doing is going and buying some stupid thing for a few $100s that you may or may not even use. Buy it used. Do what I did. Find a coworker who's willing to give you their old bullshit. But, man, we just don't need stuff. So I put this off for years. And, I'm in a better position now. So what are we buying? What are we looking at? Honestly, it wasn't anything until, like I said, I had an increased desire lately to be a little bit more mindful of my sleep and my rest. So I was listening to a podcast. I believe it was the Side Hustle Show with Nick Loper, or maybe he was doing an interview. I'm not sure what podcast it was, but there was Brendan Bouchard. I don't know. There was someone talking about just functioning and working as an optimal human, and I was like, all about it, Why wouldn't you be? If you're listening to this, you probably would be too. And this gentleman shared his experiences of the Oura ring. And that, to me, just sounded like the coolest thing, the way that he described it and the metrics that it tracked, because it looks like it's primarily focused on sleep, with getting your resting heart rate variability, your respiratory rate. Wanted to pass this car safely before looking back at my notes. Daylight savings time, it's all dark out again. Your body temperature, light, deep, and REM sleep states, nighttime movement, your sleep timing, and your sleep quality. It's just a lot of things that this device tracks, and it's not a watch, it's not cumbersome, but it is literally a ring, like a titanium ring with very small sensors, very high tech, and I am very interested in this thing. And moreover, Andy here in the group from the audience mentioned the same thing, probably within a couple of weeks or so after I had heard of this thing. And I think I even asked him if he heard this in that, in that same podcast. He said no. So, what does it all mean? Well, it probably means nothing, and we find excuses like that when we want to buy stuff that we don't necessarily need, especially when we can't afford it, to impress people we don't like. And that's how we end up in debt, and that's how the vicious cycle never stops. Stop it! Don't buy this thing if you can't afford it. And if you, redirect that stimulus check when you get it, guys. I mean, if you got debt, take this fat stimmy check and pay off that debt. But don't do anything until you take 10% of that stimulus check and give it away. We got to give it away to keep it, my friends. And, I understand that it's an excuse and a great reason to, go buy a bunch of crap. But if you really want to change your life, start giving it away. That's kind of what it's all about. And it wasn't until I actually did that I began to understand it. So try it. And anyways, as far as this Oura ring is concerned, I guess when it gets to that point and I buy this thing, well, I'll let you know. It seems pretty cool, and with my glasses and all my stuff, or with my gloves and all my stuff, getting distracted. I gotta get off here. You know, might be a heck of a lot easier to have a small ring than be wearing a bulky watch with these tight-fitting rubberized gloves. You know what I mean? So, anyways, hopefully this show was of value to you guys. Bear with me while I'm backing up here. Yeah, hopefully the show was of value to you guys. If it was, go down to the bottom of the show notes, share it with a friend, give it a rating, review on your podcast player of choice or on Apple iTunes, Apple Music, whatever it is. Just get the word out there. And more so than getting the word out there, what would be awesome is the ones that are listening, check us out on the Telegram group, t.me/allaroundgrowth. It's a great way to interact with the listeners of the show, the ones who do so most frequently, and it's a great way to build community. Check it out. It's sort of like social media, but better. All right, everyone. And let us know what fitness trackers you're using. We'll see you later. Have a great day, guys. This is Rob Kaiser, and thank you.